Hearts and Hands by Henry. Once upon a time, at a very busy train station in Denver, people hurried onto a train called the B&M Express that was going east. Inside one of the train cars sat a fancy young lady. She looked very elegant, just like someone who had traveled a lot. There were two new guys on the train, too. One looked brave and handsome, while the other seemed sad and wore rough clothes. They were connected by shiny handcuffs. As they walked down the aisle, they sat in the only empty seats right in front of the elegant young lady. They got her attention. At first, she didn't seem very interested, but then she smiled warmly and reached out her hand. "Well, Mr. Easton," she said, sounding very calm, "I guess I'll have to start the conversation. Don't you recognize old friends when you meet them in the West?" The younger man seemed surprised by her voice, but he smiled and shook her hand. "It's Miss Fairchild," he said kindly. "Sorry about my other hand, it's stuck right now." He pointed to his right hand, which was tied to his friend's left hand with a shiny bracelet. The young lady's smile quickly turned into a frown. Just as Mr. Easton was about to talk, his friend interrupted, watching the lady closely. "Sorry to interrupt, miss, but it seems you know our marshal here," he said. "Could you say something nice about me when we get to where we're going? The marshal is taking me to prison. I'm in trouble for making fake money." "Oh," said the young lady, understanding the situation. "So you're a marshal?" "My dear Miss Fairchild," Mr. Easton said calmly, "I had to do this because of some problems. Money disappears sometimes, and keeping up appearances in Washington costs a lot. I saw an opportunity out west, even though it's not as fancy as being an ambassador." "The ambassador doesn't visit anymore," the young lady said warmly. "Now you're one of those brave Western people facing danger and adventure. It's different from Washington. Your old friends miss you." The young lady was fascinated by the shiny handcuffs. "Don't worry about them," the other man said. "Marshals always keep prisoners tied up to stop them from running away. Mr. Easton knows what he's doing." "Will we see you in Washington again soon?" the young lady asked. "Not for a while, I think," Mr. Easton replied. "I have to do serious stuff now." Miss Fairchild looked out the window, thinking about the faraway landscape. "I love the West now. It's freer than the East. We're not looking for money. We want to understand and have adventures." Mr. Easton stood up, the handcuffs making a sound. "I have to go now, Miss Fairchild. Duty calls." "It's sad you're not going east," Miss Fairchild said, sounding disappointed. "But you have to go to Leavenworth, right?" "Yes," said Mr. Easton with a nod. "I have to go to Leavenworth." As they walked away, two passengers nearby whispered to each other about what they had heard. "He seems like a good marshal. Some Western people are nice," one said. "He's pretty young for that job, isn't he?" the other replied. Suddenly, they both realized something and looked surprised. "Young? Why? Oh, didn't you get it? Did you ever see a marshal handcuff a prisoner to his right hand?" they whispered. The truth was becoming clear to everyone who listened. Mr. Easton, who seemed like a marshal, was actually the prisoner, and the sad-looking man was the real marshal. This changed everything, showing how things aren't always as they seem. The end.